Let's talk about how to get extensions and slots to communicate with one another. Let's say that I've got an extension called A and a slot called box. The slot can pass information to the extension using state, and the extension can pass information to the slot using meta. Let's take a look at some code. So I've got a simple Hello World app here. It has a page at the route hello and two extensions, A and B. Let's look at the page hello. All it does is render an extension slot called box, and that box has some styling as shown. Note that the slot defines the styles of the extensions within it. This is an important aspect of using the extension system. In order for extensions to be flexible about the context in which they are used, they should provide as little as possible of their own styling. If we look at the screen, we see that we have the two extensions rendered as boxes in this slot, side by side. Let's take a look at the code for these extensions. We see that A is extremely simple, containing only a letter, and that B is about the same. Now let's add some state that we can pass from the slot to the extension. We open the hello component and add a simple piece of state. Using useReducer, we create a piece of state that can toggle between one of two values, big and small. We use the toggle size action as the onClick handler for a button. If we look in our browser, well, it doesn't do anything yet because we're not actually doing anything with the state. Let's make the extensions actually use this state. The state is made available to the extension as a prop, which we can use the normal way that we would use any prop. We define an interface for the prop, and we're going to use it to change the size of the letter. And now if we look in the browser and click the toggle size button, we see that the state is passed from the component containing the extension slot to the extension itself. Let's do the same for extension B. We're going to pull out the letter prop's type into its own file so that we can reuse it in B, and then we're actually just going to copy the code from A into B since it's so simple and change the letter as needed. Looking at our app in the browser, we now see that the extensions are updated in sync. Now let's talk about how to add meta to pass data from extensions to extension slots. Unlike state, meta is static. It is associated with the definition of an extension and cannot be changed. We go to the extension definition and add a meta field. Let's say that the extensions are going to tell the slot what color they should display. To use the meta, we're going to pass a function as the child of the extension slot component. This function takes a single argument called extension, and the meta object is available on extension. This function is run for each extension attached to the slot. Within our function, we need to include the extension component. The extension component defines where each extension will be rendered. Here, each extension is rendered within a div. One more thing, anytime extension slot has children, it cannot have state passed directly to it. State must be passed through the extension component. We open up the browser to check our work and see that indeed, our extensions have been colored according to their metas. The styling is a little funny though, so let's clean that up. Since we are passing the render prop child to extension slot, we can just include style information directly there. We don't need to use CSS queries to access the children of the extension slot. And there we have it. Size as the state being passed from the extension slot to the extensions, and color as the meta being passed from the extensions to the extension slot. Now this is a bit of a silly example since it would be easy for the extensions to simply define their own background colors, but of course much more is possible.